G'day, Peter Johnson here from Advisors Digest. Every day I get asked a question from an accountant. Can my SMSF invest in a tractor? Can my SMSF invest in a houseboat? There's nothing in the SIS Act that says you can't invest in a tractor. There's nothing in the SIS Act that says you can't invest in a houseboat. But there is heaps of sections of the SIS Act that you would breach if you invested in either. But the biggest investment we get in self-managed super funds, the main one is real estate, is property. We talk about real estate and property, they're a little bit different because real property is real estate, whereas property would include the tractor and the houseboat. So what we've got is a 5-part masterclass, 7.5 hours on SMSFs and property. Now the reason I mention things like tractors and houseboats is because when we go through this 7 hours, you will be able to apply what you've learned to look at can an SMSF invest in a tractor or a houseboat. Because we're going to go through all of the investment rules. We'll start with the sole purpose test and all the rulings on the sole purpose test, and we'll look at the relevant cases such as Aussie Golfer and the Swiss Chalet case, and how sometimes investing in property is a breach of the sole purpose test. Notwithstanding, it could well be that you're buying business real property. Then we'll move on to the rest of the investment restrictions. And again, there's lots of rulings on these investment restrictions and they cover property in those rulings, but they're also relevant to every other investment in an SMSF. So we'll go through all of the investment restrictions. Then we look at some of the specifics to do with property. We'll look at unit trusts because that's a common structure. Related unit trust, unrelated unit trust, pre-99 unit trusts, what is a related party, what's regulation 1322A to D. A whole session on unit trust. Then limited recourse borrowing arrangements and related party borrowings and how they work. And again, these can be used for any asset. Then we look at property structures. We look at the specific rulings from the tax office around common mistakes with property investments. We'll look at taking a property out of the super fund when you're in pension phase but don't want to cop capital gains tax. And then we put it all together. We look at all the structures, using structures to their benefit in property, and of course it would never be complete with case studies. 5 sessions, 1.5 hours per session, 7.5 hours. It's a complete SMSF investment course. Want to know more? Click on the button below, and I really look forward to seeing you in our SMSFs and Property Masterclass series.